Hello there. In this video, I would like to walk you through the question types that you can leverage in a Schoology quiz. So the question types that you have available to you are true, false, multiple choice, ordering, short answer / essay, fill in the blank, and matching. Now, I'll walk you through the question types top to bottom, true, false being the first one. When I create a true-false question, along with all the other question types, I'll get an editing box here at the top where I place my question. And this true-false can also be changed to something like a yes or no, up or down. Anything that's binary can go in those choices. So the correct answer in this case does match true, which is here, even though it says yes. So I'll go ahead and leave that true. If it were false, I would just toggle that down and change it to false. I can also require a correction if the answer is false. I can subsequently mark this as a subjective question. Again, you'll see these options come up in later question types. If I do that, that means I must, as the facilitator of the course, go in and hand score that. I can time all my questions individually inside a test or a quiz. If I do that, I must place the time within this box in minutes. So if I want it to be 30 seconds, I can do 0.5 minutes, and that will be 30 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and leave that untimed so that I can show you later how we can time the entire quiz. So I'll go ahead and create that. And we'll create a multiple choice question. Works just like the true false. This guy is blank on a nice day this time. And we will do purple. Black, blue, and gray. So I'll go ahead and check this off as blue being the correct answer. You also notice on each of these types that I have a show feedback link here. I can go ahead and hit that and type in some feedback inside the box. For example. The other thing that I want to point out is inside all of these boxes, as I hover, you'll see I have a pencil to do some rich text editing. So I can do something like change the color of this text to match the word. So I can go ahead and change this to blue. Oops, let's make that a little bit more of a blue. There we go, to blue. I could also add in a picture that matches the color if I'd like to, or a video recording there that has some kind of response or action or steps in a process for those of you that are teaching steps in a process. I can, once I toggle on this feedback, go ahead and give empirical incorrect feedback. And that will show up where the green box is here for the correct response, where the yellow response is. That'll show up in all these spaces unless I've done something like this where I've placed specific feedback. In this particular question type, multiple choice, I can randomize the answer choices. I can allow partial credit, and again, I can make it a timed question. I'll go ahead and create that one. So you see the creation of these question types are very similar. Once I've learned one, I can learn the others. I'm just kind of going to accumulate the different options that you have here. So I place my question or directions here. Notice that in all the question types for the direction space, I do have an audio video recording button. So I could do something like use audio to read that question to my learners. Go ahead and allow this. Remember that. Place the below in the correct order from least to greatest. Go ahead and insert that. Once this question is created, the learner will see a simple play button so that they can listen to your directions. I'll place my items in the correct order here. When it appears to the learner, those will all be mixed up. Notice I don't have a randomized choices here because the test does that for me. On this one, I can allow partial credit and I can time this question. I'll go ahead and create that ordering question. We can do a short answer essay. This is the only type that is not graded by Schoology. If I want to do a short answer, such as I can choose short answer here, and that will give them a smaller space within which to write. I can also choose to limit the characters to whatever number of characters I'd like to if I want a very concise answer. I can allow rich text for adding things like pictures, videos, so on and so forth. I can allow audio video answers from the students, and I can time that question. Again, notice I can also audio video record the question. For a short answer, I also have the option of adding in a writing rubric here, which I will be able to use to grade student responses. Not going to do that in this particular case, but I'll go ahead and create that question. Let's go through fill in the blank next. With fill in the blank, when I place my directions in the directions box or the question box, I will use an underscore to generate a single answer where the student or learner will go ahead and respond. So in this case, the sky is 1 underscore equals 1 answer space on nice days. In the space, I can go ahead and type my response. While these responses are not case sensitive by default, here I can check that off if I'd like it to be, they are space sensitive. So notice I did not put a space after blue. If the student types BLUE space, Schoology will count that as an incorrect response because it does not have a one-to-one correlation with the response that you placed inside the answer blank. I'll show you in the results tab how you could later go back and make a change to a score that you think was scored incorrectly. I can allow for partial credit, so if the student misspells, I can give partial credit. You can do that anyway. I can allow for a word bank where the learner would be able to choose from words that are in this bank as well as the correct answer automatically being added to the word bank. So if I put things like purple, black, and gray in here, the learner would see 4 responses, the 3 that are in the filler word space as well as blue because that's in the answer space. I'll go ahead and leave those there. And I can also make this a timed question. So we'll create that. And last but certainly not least, a matching question. Again, I can place my directions up here. We can do something like this. And I'll place the correct answer directly aside from the other word. And For example, I have a blank space here, so I can just hit remove blanks and those go away. I can choose to put filler words in if I'd like to for misnomers in the question space. I can allow partial credit, I can allow for subjective answers, and I can allow this to be a timed question. I'll go ahead and create that. So before we leave the questions tab, I'd just like to show you a couple last options. Let's say that I can use these questions again later. I can do something called creating a question bank, which I've just done while I was creating these different question types that I showed you here. You notice I have an add question from question banks or import tests and quizzes. Well, to get questions into a question bank, as I create a quiz, I just simply do options, add questions to a bank. That will save these questions that I have checked off to my course resources. Here are my different resource centers. I can go ahead and put that into a folder, add those questions, and now when I'd like to, I can add questions from a question bank, pull individual questions. I'll go home, and here's my test question bank. Here is that set of questions that I just made. And I could select them all, bring them all in, and now I have all those questions in a second time. As always, I hope that this was helpful, and thanks for watching. In the next video, we'll go over the settings tab and how you can finally get your hard work out to your learners.